the subscribe button if you don't want me to come at night.
Ever hear a sound so chilling it makes your blood run cold? That's what happened to me the first time I heard the sound from the HVAC system in my new home. It was an old, creaky place with a history all its own. The HVAC system was just as old, and it made these strange, eerie noises. They were different from your usual mechanical hums and clanks. These sounds, they seemed to have a life of their own. They echoed in the stillness of the night, rising and falling with the rhythm of the heating and cooling cycles. It was as if the house was breathing, alive with a cold, spine-tingling energy. The sounds were unsettling, chilling even, like whispers from the past, murmurs of a forgotten tragedy. I remember lying awake listening, my heart pounding in the silence. Little did I know these sounds were just the beginning of a terrifying journey. I decided to investigate, thinking it was probably just a broken fan or a loose vent. You see, the unsettling sounds that seemed to be coming from the heating and cooling system had been bothering me for far too long. The house was quiet, save for those strange noises that echoed through the halls, a chilling symphony of creaks and groans that seemed to be crying out for attention. My first instinct was to call in a professional, someone who knew the ins and outs of these complex systems. The HVAC technician was a grizzled veteran, a man who'd seen it all, or so he claimed. He crawled around the attic, descended into the basement, and eventually sprawled out on the living room floor, his ear pressed against the vent. He conducted a thorough inspection, checked every nook and cranny, every pipe, and every wire. When he found nothing, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I pored over the system's manuals, spent countless hours on online forums, and even tried my hand at a few DIY repairs. I tightened every screw and replaced every belt, hoping that I could somehow silence the unsettling symphony that filled my home. Yet, despite all my efforts, the sounds persisted. They seemed to grow louder and more distinct, like the system was somehow amplifying them. The once faint creaks turned into wails, and the groans morphed into deep, guttural growls. It was as if the house itself was alive, its breath drawn from the very HVAC system I was trying to fix. Every attempt to identify the source of the sound proved futile. I was left with more questions than answers, each one making me feel more and more like a stranger in my own home. The once comforting hum of the heating and cooling system now felt like an ominous whisper, a grim reminder of the mystery that lay within its pipes and vents. But no matter what I did, the chilling sounds continued, growing eerier every day. The investigation had just begun, and already it was leading me down a path I wasn't sure I was ready to tread. But there was no turning back now. The sounds wouldn't let me. In desperation, I started digging into the house's history, and what I found was beyond disturbing. The home's previous owners were the Hargrove family, a seemingly normal bunch. But as I sifted through old newspapers and public records, I uncovered a chilling tragedy that had befallen them. The youngest child, a girl named Lila, had mysteriously disappeared one winter. The family had reported hearing strange noises from their heating system in the days leading up to her vanishing, noises that echoed eerily similar to the ones I had been hearing. The more I dug, the more the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. The Hargroves had reported hearing Lila's voice whispering through the vents, calling for help, crying out in the cold. The authorities dismissed it as the product of their grief-stricken minds, but the chilling details didn't end there. A couple of decades later, the house was renovated, and during the renovation, the workers made a gruesome discovery. Sealed off in a forgotten section of the air ducts, they found the skeletal remains of a small child, clutching a worn-out teddy bear. The remains were later confirmed to be Lila's. She had somehow crawled into the ducts, got lost, and couldn't find her way back. It was a heart-wrenching revelation, an unclosed chapter in the house's history. The sounds I had been hearing, the whispers and cries, they started making a horrifying sense. It was as if the house, through its heating and cooling system, was echoing Lila's last desperate cries for help. The house had a history, a dark and tragic one that was seemingly trying to make itself known. The peculiar sounds, the unsettling whispers, they were not just random, they were echoes of a past tragedy reverberating through the veins of the house, the HVAC system. The house had a dark past, and it seemed like it was trying to communicate that through the HVAC system. One chilling winter night, the HVAC system started making a sound unlike any I'd heard before. A low growl echoed through the vents, followed by an eerie, rhythmic tapping. It was as if someone or something was trying to communicate from within the belly of the house itself. The temperature fluctuated wildly, shifting from an icy cold that made your breath visible to a stifling heat that left your skin slick with sweat. It was as though the house was alive, its breath hot and cold, its voice the growling and tapping from deep within. Then the real terror began. The growls turned into whispers, soft and sibilant, snaking their way through the vents, wrapping around every room, every corner. The words were indistinct at first, a chilling breeze of ghostly conversation. But then, they grew clearer, and I could make out a name, the same name I discovered in my research, the name of the man who had met his tragic end in this very house. The whispers turned into pleas, echoing the despair and regret from a past long gone. It was a tale of love and loss, of a life cut short, retold through the metallic veins of the house. The entity, it seemed, was using the HVAC system as its medium, reaching out from beyond the grave, instilling a fear in me that was as cold and penetrating as the winter outside. But as terrifying as it was, there was a sadness to it, a melancholy that pulled at your heartstrings, even as it made your blood run cold. It was a fear tinged with empathy, a chilling reminder of the human stories that often lurk behind the veil of the paranormal. The encounter left me shaken, my skepticism replaced with a bone-deep certainty. There was something in this house, a lingering spirit tied to its tragic past. It wasn't just the creaking of old pipes or the whirring of a faulty system. No, it was something far more chilling, far more real. That night I came face to face with the house's tragic past. As I delved deeper into the house's history, the connection between the HVAC system and the past tragedy became chillingly clear. For years, the house stood as a beacon of warmth and comfort, its HVAC system humming along, providing solace from the harsh elements. But beneath this comforting facade, a chilling connection lurked, a sinister link to a long-forgotten tragedy. Decades ago, the house was the site of a horrific accident. The previous owners, a young couple, were found lifeless on a frigid winter night. The initial investigation chalked it up to a faulty heating system, but there was something more, something that had been overlooked. The couple had been avid spiritualists, conducting seances in an attempt to commune with the other side. Their final seance was held on that fateful winter night. As the temperature dropped, they cranked up the heating system. But it wasn't just the heat that increased, it was the intensity of the seance, the spiritual energy they were calling upon. This is where the chilling connection comes in. The HVAC system wasn't just a source of warmth, it was an inadvertent conduit for the spiritual energy the couple was channeling. As they reached out to the other side, the heating system amplified the spiritual energy, culminating in a fatal surge. The chilling realization hit me like a cold gust of wind. The strange occurrences, the eerie whispers, the sudden drops in temperature weren't just malfunctions of the HVAC system. They were echoes, spectral remnants of that tragic night, amplified and carried through the house by the very system designed to bring comfort. I was living in a house that was not just haunted, but a house that was a conduit of spiritual energy, a chilling reminder of a tragedy that once occurred here. It was a terrifying realization, but it was a truth I had to live with. The HVAC system wasn't just cooling and heating my home, it was a chilling reminder of a tragedy that once occurred here. Living with this chilling truth hasn't been easy, but I've learned to cope. The revelation was as chilling as the cold air that now seems to perpetually drift from the vents. The once comforting hum of the heating and cooling system has been replaced with a haunting echo of the past. Life after the revelation has been a delicate dance with the supernatural. I've made changes to coexist with this haunting presence, this spectral tenant. I've learned to endure the cold spots in the middle of summer, the inexplicable warmth during the harsh winter months, the sudden gusts of wind that come from nowhere, the inexplicable sounds that echo through the vents. They've become a part of my daily existence. I've learned to live with the eerie midnight whispers, the chilling moans that seem to come from within the walls. This house, with its haunted HVAC system, has become a constant reminder of a past steeped in tragedy. The chilling sounds from the HVAC system are a constant reminder of the home's tragic past, a past that now lives with me.
Hit the subscribe button if you don't want me to come at night.